and they're all in costume, and they had the guards were functioning as servants. And at one point, something like that happens in the show, so it makes me really uncomfortable. They did games, and yeah, they got like the big prize for the party was a flight to Napa Valley and dinner for two at French Laundry. Now, no word yet on whether she's watched the show. I imagine she has, but there's some fairly obvious lessons in Squid Game, and a bunch of really rich people cosplaying as participants in a death match for desperate debtors. Seems wrong in some way. Am I a bad person, Brett? What do you think about this? I honestly don't know where you'll come down on this.
This is full on District 1 stuff, like Hunger Games District 1. And I know that like it's all the same themes, Squid Game and Hunger Games. But like for rich people to cosplay as poor people, I don't care about this. And I don't think you should care. And I don't think other people should care. And that caveat when people are like, you guys are, and now they're eating their own, they're canceling Chrissy Teigen. First of all, I did it first. I never got her. She doesn't get the stuff that she's talking about. There's no reason for her to be a celebrity aside from the potato smashy that John once made from her cookbook. And it is delicious, whatever. Don't think she like invented that recipe, but like this, she literally had people come over to her house and gave presents away to like rich people, funding rich people's trips to the French Laundry, which like she drops her own name to get a table there, by the way. Like you and I, good luck. I'll go while you're talking about it. I'll get reservations at the French Laundry.
Oh my God, I'm imagining it's expensive. Yeah, look, if you're rich, I get it. You still want to live your life. And I get that like carefully analyzing everything you do or understanding how much of popular culture, a lot of which is not written at least by rich people, even if it's produced by rich people, might be critical of you in a lot of ways, might be exhausting to constantly be analyzing yourself in that way. And look, I think she's been clever on Twitter. I think her smashies and other recipes are delicious. But this was just like, I don't know is there a show that they could more not get the message up? Or maybe they get it and they just don't care. I don't know. But this is like the most rich person confronting show on TV of the past couple years. And it just right over the heads. I don't get it.
There is, so when you go on the French Laundry website where it's $350 per person add-on, I don't even know what that means, but it's $350 per person plus add-ons, so that's it. And you can only book through the end of December. So for the next 2 months, not a single table is available.
Yeah, well, they were all taken by friends of Chrissy Teigen. Anyway, so thank you for the research. That's my garbage person. I feel a little bit bad about it. Like she's not, trying to stop you from getting like cheaper prescription drugs like some people, but it's still just maddening. But anyway, we also asked you, as we do every week, for your garbage person of the week. And so 33,000 of you voted on our poll. And coming in at number 5 with 2% of the vote is Chris Christie for bombarding the airwaves with his nonsense. A tie at number 4 and 3 with 8% of the vote. You have attorney Kevin Go for trying to kick black pastors out of court. Also Marjorie Taylor Greene for her price of blood comments, which were abhorrent. Also Brett Ehrlich for not liking The Matrix anymore. Coming in at number 2 is Michael Flynn with 19% of the vote for declaring the US needs one religion. Guess which one? And at number 1 with 63% of the vote, you have Judge Schroeder. This, I think the audience is gonna be happy to see for acting as Rittenhouse's defense attorney and just, making the whole thing even worse. It was always gonna be bad, but it was worse because of him. That is your community garbage person of the week. Thank you to the 33,000 of you who voted in the poll. And Brett Ehrlich, thank you most of all to you. Though The Matrix might not hold up, you do.
Thank you, and thank you for admitting it doesn't hold up. And Skip slacked me during the show to say he agreed with me.
Oh my God, I'm surrounded by people with terrible taste. Anyway, have a good one. I'll talk to you a little bit later on.
All right, bye.
Bye. And for all of you watching at home, I'm gonna be leading the first hour of the Young Turks with Cenk Uygur and Morgan Harper. And then they're gonna have double Jackson second hour. It's gonna be a lot of fun. You're not gonna wanna miss it. Before that, of course, you have Indisputable. Wosny Lombry is gonna be joining Rashad Ritchie, which is super exciting. There's lots to look forward to. But until then, stay safe out there. Stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.
Welcome to Indisputable. We got a lot of show today. We got a lot on the agenda. Breaking down news of the day, we got the big homie Wosny Lombre, host of Wosny at 10 p.m. Eastern time, Tuesdays on Twitch, twitch.tv/TYT, host of Woke Bros and writer at The Ringer. And also in the bullpen, we have back Christian Watson, spokesperson for Color Us United and host of the Pensive Politics podcast. We're going to talk about race in America. Well, race in America is front and center. We just got a front row seat into the reality of the two-justice system in the United States of America. Kyle Rittenhouse has been found not guilty of all charges. Here's the video. Okay. All right. Jurors in Kenosha, Wisconsin, on Friday declared Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty on all counts, capping off an intense trial surrounding the deadly unrest in that city last year. Rittenhouse, 18 years of age, would have faced a mandatory life sentence if found guilty and convicted of first-degree intentional homicide, as he should have been. The verdict came on the 4th day of deliberations. This was the 15th day of the trial. Do we have that verdict? All right, let's go to it.
The defendant will rise and face the jury and hearken to its verdicts.
State of Wisconsin versus Kyle Rittenhouse. As to the first count of the information, Joseph Rosenbaum. We, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the second count of the information, Richard McGinnis, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the third count of the information, unknown male, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the fourth count of the information, Anthony Huber, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the fifth count of the information, Gage Grosskreutz, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty.
Members of the jury, are these your unanimous verdicts? Is there anyone who does not agree with the verdicts as read? Would you wish the jury polled?
Let me help you understand something, because I know many will moralize on this and say this is exactly what the protesters deserved because Kyle Rittenhouse was defending himself. Let me be very clear. Kyle Rittenhouse, in my book, is a killer, and he committed cold-blooded murder. He has been found not guilty by a court of law. My opinion still stands, period. So let me be very clear, because we want to highlight the unequal application of the law. You mean to tell me that if a black man travels to another state in order to insert himself into a contentious situation, a protest, if you would, let's say a Trump rally or a pro-Trump protest, black man goes there in order to protect property he has not been asked to protect. Nobody called for him, nobody was checking for him, nobody gave him authority. He's not a security guard, he's not an off-duty police officer. He just goes there with a gun. He gets a gun illegally. The person that gave him the gun illegally gets charged with 2 felonies. He has an illegal weapon, or he is unlawfully carrying a gun in a state that he should not even be in. And he takes this gun, and 15 days before he commits murder, he says he's going or would like to kill a person coming out of a store. He said that, it's on video. That was not allowed in this trial. The jury members did not get to see that piece of information. It does go to state of mind. So all of this can happen, and then you can be the person with the gun. You think a black person with a gun that's not supposed to be in possession of the gun can go and kill people at a protest in another state, be the aggressor. Folks try to disarm him, and he claims self-defense after he kills 2 and tries to kill a 3rd. Do you really think that happens for a black man and he's found not guilty in a court? Do you really think so? This is a miscarriage of justice, in my opinion. Kyle Rittenhouse is a cold-blooded killer, in my opinion. And this, as I said many times on this show before, this does not surprise me. If you've been watching Indisputable, I have said right here on this program, I believe Kyle Rittenhouse will be found not guilty. Not because I think he's not guilty, but because I know the criminal justice system he's involved with. The prosecutor had a hell of a job. He had 2 defense attorneys to go against, one sitting next to Kyle Rittenhouse and the other one sitting in front of Kyle Rittenhouse in a black robe. Kyle Rittenhouse got every break imaginable inside of a courtroom. The judge even sung a song to him in front of the jury, made every ruling in his favor when the judge had discretion to do so. Dropped the charge that was clearly against the law for him to be 17 with a dangerous weapon in Wisconsin. The judge threw that one out. That's the one probably was not even debatable by the jury. Big Woz, what are your thoughts here?
Man, it's tough. I'm watching a show on Hulu. It's called Dope Sick. It's about the opium epidemic. And very early on in the show, they basically explained to you that the FDA had put a special label on Oxycontin, which allowed the Purdue Pharma to sell it and say, unlike every single opioid that has ever existed, Oxycontin is safe. The FDA did that. That's a government institution. And then, I watch people be vaccine hesitant as people be like, well, the FDA said it's okay. Well, the integrity is lost in the FDA. And so how are people supposed to believe? And so I think about here in the justice system, how are people supposed to believe in this thing? It feels like there's no integrity. You can't blame people then when they go out and feel like, I'm not gonna get a fair shake from the law, especially if you're black, especially if you're Latin, especially if you're from, marginalized groups. I think about how the trust gets eroded over time and the consequences of that. It's tough. This is why people don't believe.
Yeah. All right. I said something on the show a few days ago about Michael Flynn, right? General Michael Flynn, the man who is corrupt, admitted to being corrupt, and then got pardoned for his corruption. Michael Flynn is on this tour with QAnon where he's going around telling people that the word of God or Christian religion should be the actual law, okay? And I told you this was going to happen where they were going to dangle a carrot in front of the base of the Republican Party and tell them, if you vote us in, we will bring this religious order to the United States of America. Now, here's how it connects to Kyle Rittenhouse and everything else. If you can successfully do that, you can justify anything in the name of your God. You can justify doing anything in the name of your religion. I had another story this week where a judge let a serial rapist go because the judge said on the record, I prayed on this, and it is not going to do any good to lock this person up, and provided no additional explanation because in his world, his religion trumps everything, no pun intended. Now you have another guy running for Congress. He's a pastor. Here's what he said.
I'm excited about the growing movement, especially here in the 4th District of South Carolina, of people who are identifying themselves as just Christian conservatives, right? We got to take it back to the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I believe the people here in the 4th District of South Carolina are getting that. It's not just about being Republicans, it's about being a conservative Christian who believes this is a Christian nation, and any policy that is contrary to the word of God, we need to remove it from mainstream America and make it illegal.
You want to remove it from mainstream America. You want to remove secularism from mainstream America. Mainstream America was founded on the principles of secularism. The people who founded the nation were literally running from guys like you. from religious persecution from people like you. They wanted a secular government. They wanted a separation between faith and government. They wanted a freedom to be applied to the expression of religion. They wanted the government not to pass laws that would abridge the expression of religion. What country are you talking about, sir? This clown is running for Congress in South Carolina, Mark Burns. That's his name. I got more on this cat, okay? I told you this is going to start happening. I said this on Indisputable. They're going to start dangling this carrot in front of their base. This is the new red meat. They're bringing religious order. Some of the most corrupt people on the planet, by the way. They are bringing religious clarity. This country was not founded on the principles of Christianity. This is not a Christian country. Many of those who founded this nation were actually deists. But this preacher would have a hard time living up to a theocracy in the first place. Remember the lies he told? Here's some of them.
I did, without question, say that I had crossed, and I'm not crossed, but I had started the process of being a part of that organization. But that's the furthest that I've gotten.
Is that the bio from your website?
It is, but it is not it is the bio, but this is not an accurate depiction of the bio. I mean, information has obviously been added. I mean, I own up to any mistakes that I've made, like I did with my tweet, but obviously in this case, that's not.
So this is not from your page?
No, this is from my page, but what I'm saying is, obviously this has been manipulated or either hacked or added.
Yeah, that's not even the big lie, okay? So he lied about what group he was a part of, all right? Wanted to be a big shot. Here's what else he lied about.
You also claimed that you served 6 years in the Army Reserves. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
Okay, we called the Army and they said that you had no active Army or Army Reserve service.
No, I wasn't part of the South Carolina National Guard.
Okay, I just asked you about Army Reserves. That was my question. You in this bio claimed 6 years in the Army Reserves.
It is reserves. It is the Army of South Carolina National Guard is reserves.
In a statement to CNN, the U.S. Army says Burns served in the South Carolina National Guard from 2001 to 2005, was discharged in 2008. He has no active Army or Army Reserve service time.
And he wants a God regime in the United States of America. See, I'm bringing this up because these guys are charlatans. They're fake, they're phony, they're manipulating the masses, and they're utilizing religion to do so. But I want to bring you back to reality. If you follow this cat, if you follow this guy, remember who he is. Here's more.
Did you attend North Greenville University?
I did attend North Greenville University.
Did you graduate from North Greenville University?
No, I didn't complete the degree at North Greenville University.
In fact, the university tells CNN he was here one semester.
Again, the bio that's on your website claims that you earned a Bachelor of Science degree. Did you make that claim?
I asked you just a moment ago as we were just opening up this, and first of all, I said that we were off the record.
I didn't agree to that.
Yeah, but I did.
We're still rolling. I'm still asking you questions on the record. Did you make that claim that you graduated from North Greenville University?
Because I think this is not fair that this is not fair at all. This is not what I agreed to. I thought we were doing a profile, and all of a sudden you're here to try to destroy my character.
You destroyed your damn self, preacher, telling all those tall tales, long lies. And now this hardcore Trump supporter wants to be the new congressman out of South Carolina. Big Woz, what do you think of guys like this?
I actually want to go the other way. I want to lean into this Christianity as doctrine, as law, because love your neighbor, let he who is without sin cast the first stone, feed the sick, feed the hungry, heal the sick. Like, let's do it. Like, if we really want to go there, let's do it. Let's actually practice the preachings of the book. Look, we can be selective if we want, but I know what book I read. I know what it's about. It's about washing the feet of the homeless.
Yep.
That's who Jesus was hanging out with, is helping the people who are disenfranchised. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's be great Christians.
They couldn't live up to any of that, brother, and you know it, because they simply want to utilize their faith context as a methodology to gain political power. That's all it is for them, and it's not about a people's value system as it is for you and I. All right, I'm gonna go to this story about the teenager who had his hands up, okay? All right, so there's a guy who had his hands up, okay? It's a teenager. And he was still shot and killed. He was going through a mental health crisis. New footage has been released that shows a teenager shot by a police officer, had his hands up in the air for 14 seconds. 14 seconds. And it wasn't even a gun. It wasn't a real gun. Christian Hall was standing on the ledge of an interstate in what appears to be a suicidal mental condition. Here is how the cops discovered him. Let's go to video.
Oh, we got surveillance on right now. Zoomed in.
Can you step down and talk to us? You're not in any trouble. You're not in any trouble. Come on, man. You're not in any trouble. Can you get off? Just step off for us, man. Come on. What do you got in your hand? Just get back. Get back. Get back. Get back. Get back. Get back. He's got something in his hand. In his left hand. His left hand.
Okay, so the troopers started to react when they saw what they thought to be a gun. It's not a gun, it's actually a pellet gun, okay? It's not a real gun. Here's the next video.
He's got a gun, gun. Hey! Hey!
There he goes. Oh, there's the gun. No. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. You see this? He started waving the gun out by his hip.
What's he like?
Oh, don't.
Just screwing him.
Put it down, man. Gun down. Put it down. TJ, put it down. Put it down. Put it down now, TJ. Put it down. Put it down. Drop it. Drop it. Drop the gun. Put it down. Drop it. Put it down now. You have to drop it.
There's more video, it's very graphic. I want to remind you that in the newness of policing, or at least police reform advocates would say in this situation, at least one person needs to be trained on how to deal with a mental health patient or someone who is going through a mental health episode. The young man, a teenager, was suicidal, going through these phases. These cops decided to do this. Here it is.
Put it down. Put it down now, TJ. Put it down. Put it down. Drop it. Drop it. Drop the gun. Put it down. Drop it. Put it down now. You have to drop it. Take it. Don't remove. Don't remove. Don't remove. Fire. Hold your gun. Hold left. I got it. Hey. Stay.
The cops were in no danger at all. The hands were up in the air. Now think about the irony here. You're responding to a suicide call and it ends up you killing them without the person ever pointing any weapon at you whatsoever. The cops kill them, responding to a suicide call. Let's put up a picture of the deceased Christian Hall with his father and mom. Yeah. Okay. Christian Hall was 19, had been diagnosed with depression, was standing on the ledge of a highway overpass near Stroudsburg in northeastern Pennsylvania when troopers arrived. They tried to persuade him to get down, but when they saw he had a gun, later determined it to be a realistic pellet gun, they backed away. All right, so we got the video now. We see what happened here. My point is this. There are so many things that could have been done here to show that we have a human response to individual humans in this country. His hands were up. You won't change that fact. Nobody was in danger. You will not change that fact. He did not point a gun at someone that was fake, but somebody else thought it was real. He pointed nothing in the direction of anyone. That's a fact you cannot change. And he's dead. That's another fact you cannot change. Hall's parents, they have started the process of suing both the troopers that shot him, as well as the department. We are going to continue to follow this story. Wos, what are your thoughts here?
These officers were clearly out of their depth, you know. That's why I feel bad for this young man. Like, there was nobody out there to help him. It's tough. Like, these guys clearly had no idea what to do, and they were panicked. They were scared. They shouldn't have been there. You know, what you mentioned at the top of the segment about hopefully having a mental health expert on the scene. Like, these guys just, they're cowboys. It's awful.
Yeah, it's horrible. All right, we got more on the other side. Is indisputable. Stick and stay.
Cenk Uygur is not here today, which means that I will be able to talk during the show. No,
We'll see. We'll see.
Poor Cenk, under the bus.
My God, if Jesus came back, how much would the Republicans hate him? So now you have to give away all of your possessions to the poor. Steve King would be like, oh, Weezy. Everyone should be lucky enough to have a John Idarola in their life.
You confused everyone.
Okay, sorry, I thought it was pretty clear.
Take a break now.
You can turn me into Dr. Manhattan as long as I get what Dr. Manhattan's packing, okay?
The liberal mom says, Mark Thompson, have you ever thought about doing one of those tapes that soothe people to sleep? Like Mark Thompson reads the phone book. I'd buy it.
If you'll buy it, I'll do it.
Emilio D'Amelio writes in, John, you are so thick. I love you. That's what he wrote.
Pork Chop Express writes in and says John Idarola needs a new jacket.
Whoa.
Those 24-inch pythons are about to burst out of his sleeve.
Gun, baby. You know, the two people here said that their moms are both in love with you over Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm. That's an improvement. I usually get grandmothers.
Charlie Turk.
No, wait a minute, don't you dare.
Chemical castration when we return from the break.
I hope that, who they choose for the White House isn't just a borderline Klansman. That's all we gotta hope.
That's it, we will settle it.
She's cute.
I didn't say that about Laura Ingraham.
Scandal at TYT. Did Anna comment on my tan yet? No, she hasn't.
You're a good foster.
But Anna did say that I come in here today with a fresh mind. That's all I'm about. I'm about a fresh mind.
I can't with you right now. Okay?
She just can't. She can't, but nonetheless, we have to for another 3 hours. I'm back, baby. Let's rip in the Republicans. See, don't miss the live show.
That's great.
Tell people, if you're a member, you get the whole live show whenever you want, because this stuff doesn't go into any of the clips.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one.
Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children.
Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
What's happening? I'm Dr. Rashad Richey, host of Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Richey. Here's the bottom line. I play no games about policy, period. Too many people's lives are at stake. So here's what I do. I challenge conservative ideology that hinders the growth of this country. I make sure we place our facts in proper context, and I have no problem debating anyone on a position that I have. Progressives have the ideas to change the world, but when you really look at it, progressives have always changed this world for the better. I want you to tune into my new show, Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Richey, right here on the TYT Network, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time. I'll see you there.
Everything that we've accomplished over the years is because of our members who've allowed us to remain independent of corporate interests and reach 20 million followers. Now is the time to bring as many people into the progressive movement as possible. We're inviting you to be the change and help bring a community-powered progressive change machine to life. Details are at tyt.com/change. If you're a member, thank you. We need you to remain so. If you're one of the thousands of viewers out there who's not a member yet, the time has come for you to join now. We need you more than ever. tyt.com/change.
All right, welcome back. We still got a lot of show left. Let me remind everyone, live today we got attorney, community organizer, and candidate for US Senate, Morgan Hopper, joins the Young Turks Power Panel. Okay, that's going to be hot, hot, hot. You don't want to miss it. Tune in live at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time, tyt.com/live. All right, going to be a big one. Also, on the Power Panel, we got John, we got Jank, Morgan Harper, hour 1, JR, Jank, and Jackson White, hour 2. Boom. That's how you bring in a Friday. That's how you bring in a weekend. All right. Also, Galaxy Brain with the big homie Ben Carollo, right after Indisputable. That's a Twitch exclusive. Twitch.tv/TYT to catch the all new episode. All right. All right, let's get it. A lot of great comments. Mickey C, the silver-haired dragon. Rittenhouse's verdict just gave white supremacists, domestic terrorists permission to attend protests heavily armed. They can and will instigate trouble, then can now shoot those who react and claim self-defense. That is basically the linear logic. You are right. Lynn says militia recruitment just shot up. Cray Souffle says Rittenhouse will be found guilty in civil suits. Bring them on quick because this murderer deserves to be destroyed financially. Matthew, lying about earning a BS when he is showing us he is full of BS. He had a BS degree, all right. Yeah. Bernie's effing mittens. How did the guy that gave Kyle the gun get busted and Kyle gets nothing? I tried to explain this to a student of mine, right? Because I had one of my college students reach out right after the verdict and said, Doc, explain this to me. And had the same question you had. And I said, listen, I don't have an answer for that. Because it's like buying a kilo of cocaine and only the person who sold you the cocaine goes to jail. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. Okay. Dizzy by Nature says 28 US Code subsection 144, bias or prejudice of judge. Yeah. Bernie the Kiwi Dragon. This miscarriage of justice is why we need to keep speaking truth to power, Doc. Some may question the value of speaking out, but the alternative is to remain silent. We cannot accept that. Agreed. Jet Tet says, we're witnessing the death throes of white supremacy. It will get worse before it gets better. I do agree with you on that. That's why you see so much action and reaction, because it's coming to its final quarter. Agreed. Twitch, Cinderella says, Kyle is not ready to start his career in law enforcement. He's already passed the interview and test. Maybe he's going to Congress. because Matt Gaetz offered him a job. Nina 731, I can't stand this, so mad and angry right now, so depressing. I cannot watch this BS. But I need you to keep watching because we need you to know what's happening, okay? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
You're still free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Don't leave this parking lot. I want you to call the police. No, the cops will be here in a minute. You're rude. You're rude. We're at Jack in the Box. We ordered some food and our food is cold. And this is the behavior that we are getting from the employees. They said if you don't leave, they're going to... We are already on it. We're calling them now. And I'm not leaving until I get my money back. Okay, that's fine. You just called me an idiot. Like who you to call me an idiot? But you know what? You insulted us. And using all type of foul language like you just disrespectful for no reason. Not one person would disrespect you the whole entire time. I want my money back. The disrespect was that spoken. Please give me my money back. This just called me an idiot. You think it'd be nice to you now? Please give me my money back. You were acting like. Here. I thought you were acting like. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The customer is always right. Didn't you take customer service? Don't you know what customer service is? Situation you're not. I'm not a customer? Okay, I just gave you money and I want my back now. Why you gotta use foul language? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is your problem? Like, this Jack in the Box and the previous Jack in the Box that I was just at. Apparently, y'all don't know how to do your goddamn jobs. Don't you go to the other Jack in the Box and if you like the Jack in the Box, I'm gonna say you made your food fresh. You did not make my food fresh. Those fries cold. I'm not moving until I get a seat. I want my money back. They're rude. They're ignorant. My food is cold. I'm pissed. I've been recording this whole thing. I want my back now. Come on inside and talk to me. I don't need to come inside. I got the police on the phone right now. Why you were cussing and screaming at my mic? Well, first of all, had they not been rude to us to begin with, we wouldn't have been cussing and that to your minors. They were rude to us. I asked for my money back. I should be able to get my money back. I'm an unhappy customer. It's not an emergency. This is a non-emergency line, but I'm at Jack in the Box right now, and we're having an issue to where our food is cold, and they won't give me my money back. Okay, do you want an officer? We don't know yet. I don't know yet. They're just very rude here. This is the second box I've been to today.
Ma'am, do you want an officer?
No.
Okay, so you don't need the police?
No.
Okay, have a good day.
Believe it or not, I actually have more. She called the police because her fries were cold. Ladies and gentlemen, I actually think we have a Karen of the year. I know it's early to make that call. I know it's early to make that call. We're just in November. We still got a month and a half left. But I would dare say, we have seen the threats of Karenicity. We have seen them threaten to call the police over really ridiculous things. This one actually did and spoke to an emergency operator about her cold fries and did not lie about why she was calling. I mean, this is an OG Karen. She said, hey, I'm calling because my fries are cold and they are rude. First of all, you're at Jack in the Box, lady. You're at Jack in the damn Box. You got kids in high school, you got college students. Okay, this is not a 5-star restaurant, it's a fast food restaurant. It is what it is. Sometimes your food is cold. You can request a redo or just eat them cold ass fries. I have never heard of anyone calling 911 on cold fries and then having a conversation. Like that should be against the law, actually. Like, ma'am, you just wasted time on a 911 emergency service or whatever number you called. She realized how stupid it was what she was saying at some point. Is, you know what? I actually don't need the police. Remember, when you call the cops, you call a gun. You're calling a gun to the scene. What is the gun going to do for your cold ass fries, Karen? What is the police going to do for you? Are they going to hold somebody at gunpoint and make them warm your fries up, put them in a microwave, give you a fresh batch? And then you say this is your second Jack in the Box? So you just did this? But we got some more information because of my amazing production team. The other woman whose voice you heard on the video has been identified as Elizabeth Cook from St. Louis. Not only is Cook infamous in St. Louis, but around the internet. Here's another video.
If you are a true crime fan and you are not following the Elizabeth Cook, I'm unsure of the pronunciation, story on Facebook, please do yourself a favor and do it. Basically, this girl in St. Louis, Missouri, went to go steal a car from somebody. The owner of the car caught her in the process, and I guess she ran off. But she dropped her phone, and he took it. The guy that she was trying to steal from took her phone after she dropped it and kept it. Now he's on all of her social media, her Facebook, everything. And then it's now turned into a huge Facebook group. So this is the name of the group if you want to join it. It is freaking hilarious. We went from finding out this girl is in a theft ring of multiple items in the St. Louis area, cars, other vehicles, other types of items that have been stolen, to potentially finding out she's a part of a murder. Not really sure, but you should follow this. It is well worth your time, I promise you.
I mean, they're taking this stuff to a whole nother level. I mean, we have to up our game here at Indisputable because this creature known as Karen is evolving beyond that of regular adaptation. Woz, what are your thoughts here?
You know, it dawned on me why Uncle Joe and the Dems can't get the Build Back America plan through. They didn't put the warm fries on the agenda. If you tell the people that their fries are guaranteed to be warm at every single spot from now until eternity, that thing is gonna sail through Congress as if it was the military bill, my brother.
That'll do it. All right, since it's Friday, I got something for everybody. Double dose.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday?
I feel free! Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Maybe if you weren't in the way, I could do this, right? Get away from my car! The car's for my daughter! Who is that polite? Get out of my... You want to go, bitch? You want to go? Get away! Get out!
I got to break the news, everybody. We're not on Earth anymore. We're actually in the Twilight Zone. I don't know when it happened. I'm trying to figure out exactly what day the shift took place, but literally it happens a little bit before Donald Trump got elected. We have been living in the Twilight Zone. I think she said she was protecting the car because it's her daughter's car and her daughter is at Pilates or something. I don't know. Anti-fries, anti-leaves. Woz, thoughts?
My WWE heads will understand. That lady needed to get a rock bottom. That's what would have happened. She would have got rock bottom right into that grass and them leaves, and then I would have finished her off with a people's elbow. Look, I don't advocate for violence, but at a certain point, self-defense has to kick in, Dr. Richie.
That definitely would have been self-defense.
She would have got a rock bottom. Yeah,
this young lady's outside actually working. When you have leaves, that's your job. When your job is to blow leaves, guess what happens? You blow leaves, and leaves actually do, they do move around when you blow them. So this is, everybody should know this by now. This is the natural reaction of a leaf blower, right? This is what happens when you blow leaves. Leaves blow around. If you don't have good sense to just say, hey, you know what? These people are working here. Let me move my car if you don't want leaves blown on your car. And listen, I just got to say it. It's not like you're driving a Bentley, ma'am. Anyway, all right. We got more on the other side. Is indisputable stick and stay.
You know what the progressive movement needs? It needs a little energy, a little pizzazz, maybe a little caffeine. Oh, coffee. But what if it was too strong coffee? Yes, new twostrongcoffee.com/TYT. Look, this helps progressive causes. It's also organic and fair trade, so you've got peace of mind that it was done right, and it happens to taste great. So check it out right now at twostrongcoffee.com/TYT.
That 300 million is a pretty good number, Well, that's the size of the US population. You know what our next target is? The size of the entire world.
We just crossed 5 billion views on YouTube.
I mean, imagine 10 years ago thinking one day.
We looked at you like, are you nuts? Young Turks has just passed another milestone. 15 billion views. Damn. All right, lots of comments. You guys are the best.
I'm gonna read a few comments from our members.
Mr. Methuselah says on YouTube, super chat, thanks for all the important work you do for TYT for the movement.
Do you know who had the first super chat when I got back from vacation? You won't be surprised to find out. Rob Shively. What do you know? Rob says, rejoice for Dragon Daddy has returned.
This question sent to us by Izzy Sanchez Jr. Is it me or is Meghan McClain talking as fast as Ben Shapiro? Is that the way the right tries to look smart and intellectual? Well, yes.
Michael Nathan writes it on Twitter. Did Anna choose Cenk's outfit today? I'm sure it wasn't Cenk himself. Man Bun Jenkins Skinny Jeans says, so now Anna has pointed out, okay, that's his handle.
T. Joyce, 1971, saying Donald Trump is good at pulling out of things, NAFTA, the Iran deal, NATO. It's just too bad Fred Trump didn't.
All right, let me do a little quick plug here. It's not even a plug, I'm bragging, okay? I'm bragging, watch me. We have a channel on YouTube, a whole channel devoted just to the Young Turks. It's badass, right? Wow, man.
I can see the void.
You guys are rock stars.
Unbelievable. Senator Sanders, welcome to Rebel Headquarters. Man, you guys are amazing. We gave you what you wanted. Okay. Speaking of shirts.
I have a surprise.
You reached a lot of people. You are the Young Turks. And we have spread that progressive message wide and far. Let's keep it going.
Here's what we do. We go beyond the headline. We are willing to engage in transparent conversations with those who do not think like me. We also make sure that you know what's happening not only nationally, but in your local area. Make sure you tune in to Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie, Monday through Friday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time.
Cool news, shoptyt.com now has books. There's a whole bunch of books there. You're gonna be shocked to find out that they're largely progressive. Of course! Ryan Grimm's book, We've Got People, is there. It's fantastic. It's a story from Jesse Jackson to Bernie Sanders to AOC that explains the progressive movement probably better than any book I've ever read. Speaking of awesome books, my dad's got a book out called The Original Young Turk, where he goes from the poorest olive farmer you ever met in your life to living the American dream.
All right, welcome back. We got a lot of show left. Okay, let's go to some of these amazing comments. We got a lot of them. I will read as many as I can. TYT member Raven Mad Cat. I think calling 911 without reason is actually illegal. It really is. You're right. Everybody has that at least city ordinance, or there's a county or state statute, the misuse of an emergency call number. Rarely is it enforced. Okay, people typically do not actually get charged with it unless it is egregious. But definitely that seemed to be completely egregious to me. All right. Super chat. Keto Boot Forever. How was the debate you were the moderator for? I wish I could have seen it. It was great. And we may post it. I'm the political analyst for CBS 46 News in Atlanta. So CBS News Atlanta, I serve as their political analyst, and I moderated the Atlanta mayoral debate, which is in a runoff. It's a big, big, big election, all right? So it went great, and I think they will probably put that up on the website if they have not already done so, all right? Twitch, cold food for cold-hearted customers. There it is. All right, let me give you an update, okay? There was a man, a black male, stumped in the head. He is disabled. He has rods in his legs. He walks around with a cane. Well, what do you know? A cop thought the cane was a gun. Wasn't a gun. Still, he gets arrested. He's slow getting on the ground. He gets on the ground by some miracle, but he's not moving fast enough. Remember, he's disabled. And the cop decided to kick him in the head, busted his head. Now, South Carolina, this is in Orangeburg, they are having to pay $650,000. Here's the video.
Give me a description of subject.
You're not listening, dude. Listen. Listen. On the cement.
Does he need EMS?
Yeah,
he need EMS?
Go back to the house. I got a head trauma. Go back to the house. Yeah. Yo, bust my head down.
Can I get EMS?
Yeah, I've been in an accident. Yeah, yo, bust my head down. You throw me down.
I sure did.
Yeah. No, it ain't. You ain't had to throw me down like that. I'm disability.
Okay.
I got the head problem. Yeah, you throw me down.
Individual head has been busted. He has
yeah, bust my head.
His head is bleeding a little bit on his forehead.
Bust my head down on the cement.
He was in front of the car when I came up. He was walking like this. And I thought it was a gun at first. I said, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun. Had him a gun point. And he's over here doing something like this.
You slammed my head. You slammed my head.
What he was doing is putting this up behind the tire. So he comes.
Man, shut the hell up. All of that. Oh, here's why I have now illegally assaulted a disabled man, damn near 60 years of age. Let's put up a picture of this clown who calls himself a cop. This is the Orangeburg public safety officer. His name is David Lance. David Lance Dukes, 38 years of age. Yeah. Now, that jurisdiction is paying $650,000. This is a settlement, okay? Dukes has since been fired. Okay, the police chief actually retired shortly after this went down. Let me show you a picture of the person he assaulted. His name is Clarence. He was unarmed, he was disabled, he was defenseless, and he was an innocent bystander. He had nothing to do with why the cops were there. Nothing, okay? Gilliard told reporters, every time I look in the mirror, I see the scar on my forehead. This is Clarence Gilliard. I see the scar on my forehead and it's not okay. The only thing I want the community to do is change. That's what this man wants, okay? He wants change and I want change too. All right, as I have said many times, was Bad cops are expensive to the taxpayer, period.
Justice was served here. Man got fired. His superior decided to resign because I bet you he signed off on some BS report about a gun, as if, what type of cops are we training that you can't tell that a stick is not a gun? You don't deserve to have that job.
Yeah.
Glad he's cooked.
Yeah, he's gone. He really should have been arrested. And after he realized it was not a gun, it did not cause him to stop his aggression, even when he realized he's dealing with a disabled man. So obviously he has a cane to walk. It did not cause him to change his course of conduct. Okay, I got a question. What in the red state hell?
You can take a gun, shoot somebody in the face. It's not hard. Sometimes it might even be fun if they're a godless commie.
Now, what they're trying to do is sneak the COVID vaccine in your salads.
I hate math. Somebody say amen.
Richard Pryor has an album called That Crazy. Mike Tyson says the N-word. He says Dave Chappelle says. Okay, why is it that depending on your race, you can say the word? People were out here 2 weeks ago and they were saying, if a white person says the word, it's a weapon. Somebody's around the corner, you have to look and see who the person was that said it to find out if it was a weapon, to find out if you're hurt. Come on. As Bill Cosby said, why don't black people quit smacking their kids, quit saying, and quit calling each other? This is the reason that aliens won't talk to us. Because of these people right here. The aliens hide behind clouds and say, look how deranged these people are.
The aliens hide behind clouds, according to this person. This was a white male standing outside of the Kenosha courthouse holding a Black Crimes Matter sign, trying to justify why he uses the N-word and why it should be okay for him to use the N-word. Let me be very clear. If you are white, don't use the N-word. I don't give a damn what your black friends may say. I don't care how cool you think you are. Just don't do it. And really, you shouldn't want to do it. You should not find refuge, comfort, or connection in utilizing that word and going hard ER. Now, understand the argument. And is it hypocritical? You may say so, okay? But it's different. Damn it is different. It's different. If somebody says the N-word, who's a white person, it is different, no matter how you chop it up. This person is trying to justify using it. I would say this man is obviously racist and a provocateur, but that's what he does. Now, does he have the freedom to do so? Yep. And we have the freedom to do exactly what we're doing right here. He wants to be popular and famous, we're gonna help him. Wise thoughts?
You know, black crimes absolutely do matter, because when you're black and you commit a crime, you actually get prosecuted for it. They throw the book at you, and you have to pay your debt to society. Black crime matters in a way that pretty much no other crime in this country matters. I ask myself sometimes, I'm like, would it be prudent for me to, ask every white person, why do you guys marry your cousins in West Virginia? Like, how come you can't dance? And why is your potato salad so bad? I don't do that. Because it's rude, Dr. Richie.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that to, strangers, your friends. You don't want to bring up these uncomfortable subjects. And we choose not to do that because we have couth and we respect people.
Yeah, and definitely there's a culture connection. And listen, the vast majority of black people I know, they don't say the N-word at all in any type of format. But those that do in their informal language, I get it. So anyway, this guy obviously wants to be provocative, and he wants to be famous, and I think we've helped him out today. Okay, this is actually a good story. Started off bad, but now it's good. All right, there's a Detroit teen who got suspended for cutting hair in the bathroom. This is a young entrepreneur, but he got skills though. He got suspended because this was obviously not a sanctioned activity inside of the school system. Well, he is on his way to becoming an A-list barber. Why? Because after this, his entrepreneur spirit landed him an actual apprenticeship. Now, this all happened at the Renaissance High School. He gets suspended. Cameron Tucker was caught using one of the school's bathrooms as his workspace. I like this kid, by the way, to cut hair of his peers during study hall. Let's put up his picture. Yeah, there he is. Once again, he got skills, okay? In the middle of doing that, the teacher walked in, stared at us for about 45 seconds and walked out. Explained Cameron of the November 11th incident while speaking to Fox 2 Detroit. As a result, Cameron's mother, Cassandra Young, received a call from the school to pick up her son. We need someone to pick up Cameron. He's running a barbershop out of the 3rd floor bathroom, said an administrator in a recorded message, according to WJBK-TV Fox 2 Detroit. There's a line in there, hair all over the floor. He's got his whole setup in there, like in the movie Barbershop. Okay, all right, there's a good ending here. Despite being punished, all right, he was suspended by the school. All of the administrators agreed, young man got skills. Like all of the teachers and administrators were like, but he could cut some hair though, all right? Hell, they were probably about to get in that line too. The 16-year-old even received an apprenticeship invitation from Sebastian Jackson. Who is that? CEO and founder of Detroit's premier barbershop, the Social Club Grooming Company. That's a big deal. You have become so good at your craft in such a short period of time, Sebastian told the team. Sebastian's barbershop has 2 locations in the Detroit area, serving clients such as former NBA player Rose and rapper Big Sean. Boom. Look at that. Young man is on his way. Was good ending to a not so great beginning here.
Usually, it's in poor taste to brag, but I got a fresh lineup yesterday. You see the
you looking tight, man. You're looking tight, Big Waz. I gotta tell you.
Rishi, every single episode, your line is crispy. So I said I gotta come correct this time.
Okay, correct.
Look at you see the waves coming in too.
Big Waz, I don't see the waves though, Big Waz. I ain't gonna take it that far. All right, you look good though, brother. You looking good, Waz. All right, my friend. Tell people how they can check you out, man, and follow you on social.
Make sure you're reading us and listening to us on every single podcast at theringer.com. We do pop culture, we do NBA, NFL, every single sport you can imagine. And of course, follow me on every single social media platform at BIGWOS, at Big Waz, every single social.
Thank you, big homie. Always a pleasure having you on Indisputable.
Yes, sir.
All right, we got more. Stick and stay.
Our audience has given us everything, so we couldn't be more connected. When we first started, people would start giving us directions and say, okay, the mics are too large, move them. Turn them into lav mics. I mean, they were incredible. And then one guy walked in and gave us a really expensive switcher and said, you guys need this, and walked out. Okay, it's amazing. They helped us build a studio. They did a $2 million funding campaign for us. And so they really are us. We do this show together to the point where some of our hosts are even former listeners. So when we say that the audience is part of TYT, we really mean it.
I think what the audience also appreciates is especially if they're members, they really get an inside look into who we are, our personal lives, what drives and motivates us. It goes beyond just storytelling. I think that what we do is allow our viewers and our listeners into our daily lives, and we give them kind of like this inside look into everything that we're passionate about and why it is that we're doing what we're doing, right? Like the motivation behind what we're doing, I think is important for our audience to know, and we're not shy about sharing that with them. And it's different from what people typically see in legacy media outlets, where everything is kind of dry and robotic and there's really no personality or authenticity that comes along with it. Oftentimes when we're doing the show, I don't really think of it as me telling them stories. I think of it as us having a mutual respect and conversation with one another. And as I said earlier, I mean, not only do I feel that through the work I do, I'm informing our audience, but they inform me oftentimes as well. You know, they'll pitch stories to us. They'll tell us, you know, a certain perspective or angle to a story that we might have missed. And I love it.
At TYT, our vision is to be the leading global brand in news and talk by serving the audience with authentic commentary and analysis, and to become the digital campfire for the world. And we plan to accomplish that by serving the audience with uniquely authentic commentary and analysis. Put another way, we seek to make TYT into the digital campfire for the world. Today, the traditional mainstream media, along with the government and many of our cherished institutions, have unfortunately been captured by corporate interests. Audiences increasingly sense that they're not getting the whole story or even the truth from once trusted outlets, whether it's broadcast and cable TV news networks or national newspapers and magazines. Instead, the audience is turning to alternative news sources online, the TYT network preeminent among them. Unlike our competitors in the traditional media, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to big pharma. And unlike conservative sites online, we're not bankrolled by billionaires looking to push their right-wing propaganda. We only answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've delivered by producing honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend.
Hi, I'm Bartholomew Joseph Kyle. I do audio for the main show, The Young Turks. I also do audio for Post Game. I started in 2006. I met Cenk Uygur at the Iraq for Sale screening that was directed by Robert Greenwald. And watching that, I want to figure out a way to be part of something that's genuine and authentic.
Welcome back. Okay, let me remind you of Morgan Harper. That's happening today, okay? Tune in live today as attorney, community organizer, and candidate for U.S. Senate. Morgan Harper joins the Young Turks Power Panel. Don't miss it. Tune in live 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time, tyt.com/live. Power Panel all new this Friday. Today, the Young Turks. We got John, Jank, Morgan Harper. That's hour 1. And then JR, Jank, Jackson White, hour 2. Boom. Okay? Don't miss it. Also, right after Indisputable, we got the big homie. Ben Carollo, Galaxy Brain. That's a Twitch exclusive. Make sure you get down with Twitch. Beautiful, great, amazing people over there. Twitch.tv/TYT. Here are the comments. I will read as many as I can. TYT member Textan says, better hold the Karen of the Year title, Doc. Black Friday is coming up and I predict epic Karenicity. You may be right on that one. You may be right, but you have to admit calling the police because you got cold fries is pretty high on the ladder of Karenicity. I don't know how you're gonna top that one. Jambo Gino, white people have no business policing black people's use of the N-word. None at all. Trucker is a motherfucker. I know I probably made some red things happen, like some flags just went off with the FCC guidelines. FRUCKER, okay? All right. I tried to type Rittenhouse into a message to my friend and spell corrected it to Rittenhouse. I'm keeping it. V says, there should be a counter protester in front of him with a sign that reads, white crime matters, especially with today's verdict. Yep. Nana Nikki says, well, at least there's a little bit of justice in the world, except the taxpayers have to pay $650,000 and not the cops or police unions. That's right. That's why I'm an advocate for malpractice insurance as a requirement for police officers. Many professions require separate insurance because the liability is so high, okay? Policing should be the same. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bullpen. In the bullpen today, we have a returning guest, Mr. Christian Watson, spokesperson for Color Us United and host of the Pensive Politics podcast. We'll talk about racism in America. Christian, good day, welcome.
Thank you for having me, sir. Happy to be here.
We appreciate you being on Indisputable. I do not want to presume what you know or believe about racism in America, so we will hear your sentiment about the subject.
So I think there are two dominating narratives about the race debate and about racism in America right now. And I think a lot of people are caught in between those narratives. One of those narratives says that racism is not simply a matter of intention or simply a matter of belief, but it is also a matter of politics. It's also a matter of systems. It's also a matter of laws that have perpetuated certain effects that have impacted certain people. The other narrative, which I tend to subscribe to more than the other one, says that racism is ultimately a value statement, and it is best understood at an individual level, because when you try to understand racism on a macro or grand level, you are omitting a variety of different examples and causes for what you're calling racism, and you're also not providing a clear definition as to what racism is or could be. And this is the approach that I think a lot of people, particularly a lot of people who have been driving the race conversation, such as even Max Kendi, have put in their work. They have said that racism is a matter of impact, not intention. But racism is ultimately a value statement. And if we don't view racism as fundamentally a value statement, we don't really understand what racism is.
Do you agree that racism is real?
Of course I agree that racism is real. It's pretty hard not to accept that fact, yes.
Oh, you got some people who subscribe to your political ideology and they say it doesn't exist.
Well, I can only speak for me.
Yeah, I understand that. I do agree with you that racism, it's hard to argue that it does not exist. You said that racism, there are two school of thoughts here. Racism is a matter of systems, and the other school of thought is racism is a value statement and best understood on an individual level. Well, right? Am I correct on that generally?
I should have explained the first point a little bit better, because it is the case that people like Ibram X. Kendi and other folks who believe that racism is a matter of systems believe those systems have certain values in them that reflect racism, but their primary emphasis is on the idea of impact. So the values don't really matter that much to them as much as the impact does and who the impact impacts. So for example, Kendi says in How to Be an Anti-Racist that Reagan's economic policy was the zenith of racism because Reagan's welfare policy had a bad impact on black people who were on welfare, despite the fact that Reagan was actually using the supply side, very good water, free market idea of what it means to be self-reliant and what it means to have a system that promotes that inherent human self-reliance. So intention matters somewhat for those folks, for the Kendi folks, for folks who are of his ilk, but it doesn't matter nearly as much as it should.
Okay, really interesting. So let's talk about systemic structure and individual racism. Even Dr. King talked about this in length. He doesn't get credit for it because it happened after 1964. But he talked about systemic structures as opposed to individual racist. And he started talking about things like how lines were drawn to make sure that black people could not live in particular neighborhoods or get loans to live in those neighborhoods. Those were policies, those were systemic, and those did not come from an individual, but individuals who signed off on the bureaucracy that created the outcome that we know is prejudicial, it's racist. If we go to the Chinese Exclusion Act that the United States of America once had as a federal statute, that was racist and it was codified in the statute and it was systemic and institutional and it created an outcome that we had to unravel. So let me bring your attention to parts that I disagree with you on here. I do not believe that individual racist people are really your problem. And some people are shocked when I say that. I really don't believe individual racist people are your problem. I do believe your real problem or your biggest challenge in American society is the systemic culture of racism. And I'm going to give you some examples of the systemic culture of racism where individuality is less emphasized and the system itself has more of an impact on outcome, all right? On average, black men in the United States, black men, they receive sentencing in prison 19.1% longer than those of white men convicted of the same crimes with the same background. That is systemic. We have to unravel that. Number two, one US study found that job resumes with traditionally white sounding names receive 50% more callbacks than those with urban sounding names or black sounding names or ethnic names, even though the same exact work experience and college information was listed. 50% more got callbacks when you change the name to a more American white sounding name. Number three, black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to experience pregnancy-related death than white women, even when you calculate their level of income, access to healthcare, and education. The number does not change for them. Number four, in New York City, 88% of police stops involve black and Latinx people, while 10% involved white people. Of those stopped, 70% were 100% innocent. Number five, black students represent only 15% of the total US student enrollment. They make up 35% of the students suspended, 44% of the students suspended more than one time, 36% of students completely expelled out of the school system. The US Department of Education reviewed this data, this research, peer-reviewed data, and said the disparity cannot be explained by more frequent or more serious misbehavior by students of color as opposed to their white peers. They are simply being treated unfairly. Now that is the systemic issue that policy can actually address. Now, what individual racist person was involved in that? You actually don't need an individual racist person when the policy and the culture is so ingrained and indoctrinated in your methods and institutions that it causes these disparities and these outcomes. So do you get the reason why some people look at this from a policy point of view rather than individual racist people?
Yeah, I understand why people have that perspective, but they're simply wrong. And so you've put out a lot of stuff there, so let me try to address it. But there's a key thing going on in this conversation right now that's not going to help either of us, Dr. Ritchie. And I respect you. I think that you're a brilliant man, but I want to have a productive conversation. You have listed a series of disparities, and it is evident, self-evident actually, in those disparities. They are disparities, but the burden of proof is on you as the claimant to actually prove those disparities are due to racism. And we haven't even agreed to a cohesive definition of what racism actually is. I posed racism early on in our conversation as a value statement, and so let me expand that a little bit. Racism is a value statement which holds a position that someone is inferior because of an arbitrary characteristic, typically their skin color. Now, when you say that racism is simply
skin color, wait a minute, because it's important that you do define terms or variables accurately.
Yes, of course.
You do know I'm a professor, absolutely. So we have to do this all the time in research studies.
Of course.
Do you consider skin color to be an arbitrary factor in your variable?
As it relates to the totality of human existence, yes. As it relates
explain
to
that to me. Skin color. Wait a minute, brother.
Yes,
you got to explain this part to me. Skin color is an arbitrary factor in itself, according to your definition of race.
Well, no. That's not what I said. I said as it relates to the value of the human being, the totality of human existence. So here's what I mean. I don't think my skin color says anything, gives any particular kind of knowledge about who I am as a human being. The racist disagrees. The racist believes my skin color conveys certain types of knowledge. They believe that my skin color conveys that I am inferior, that I am whatever. And any sort of identity-based thinker will think this. They will believe that a different ethnicity from a different country, their ethnicity conveys a certain amount of information about them to them that they can make a value judgment based off of. The point is, it's arbitrary ultimately as it relates to my value. My value goes so far beyond my skin color, goes so far beyond the idea of race, and that value statement is therefore wrong. So if I can say that racism is this value statement there, I should be able to clearly apply instances in which that value statement is being used in policy and be able to clearly call those policies racist. The problem is a lot of these disparities have many different factors that if I believe the systemic racism idea, I can't even consider the first principle of racism that we had just defined. Let me give you an example. Dr. Ritchie, most police officers do not know who's in the car when they pull them over. Could that not be reflective of simply a more law and order stringent approach to traffic infractions, or could that not be reflective of a more profiteering motive on part of the police? Because we understand that policing for profit impacts people of all races, of all skin colors. It is wrong, but it exists and it impacts people of all skin colors. So why make it a race issue just because a lot of people who happen to be stopped happen to be of a different race, happen to be black? It makes no sense. As the claimant, the burden of proof is on you to prove to me that the value statement, the principle aligns with the policy you're talking about. With the Asian Exclusion Acts and with Jim Crow, you can do that pretty easily.
All right, you just lied.
Simply a disparity.
I got you, brother. You just lied on the show. So I'm going to correct your lie.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You said that most police officers do not know the race of the individual they are pulling over. That is incorrect. The Stanford Open Policing Report Project showed that police officers know on average more so than not the race of the person they are pulling over. Either they know it by direct observation. When they run their tag, the person is described, whoever the owner is. It includes race, and based on the assumption of the community that they are patrolling. So you are incorrect on that assumption. You have to prove your point of view as the claimant.
Those are not two. Okay, the second thing you mentioned is not universal.
Well, sir, but where is the sourcing of your data to say that they do not know the race of the person they're pulling over? Where's the source of your data?
So again, I'm analyzing the data. You don't have to always have competing data sets to draw conclusions.
Sir, there's no competing data set here, sir. You do not have one. You have no data set to compete with what I just said to you.
I'm drawing an inference from yours. So you just said that police.
You just said on the show that most police do not know the race of the person they are pulling over. That is a lie based on all known data as it relates to policing in America. I'm challenging you. Provide a competitive analysis of that statement. I just gave you my sourcing. Where's yours?
So I'm trying to explain something. So you just said that police can tell on average in two instances. In one instance when they're in the community, and so yes, that makes sense. If a police officer is in a certain community and they can, and the community happens to be black, it makes sense they could probably tell. But what I'm saying is, do you have any evidence? Again, the burden of proof is on you. Do you have any evidence that police are looking at black people driving in cars and simply stopping them because they are black? That's what I'm asking you.
So yeah, it's really interesting. So first of all, I just gave you the sourcing data that prove your statement to be 100% false on the show. Do better research before making proclamations like that next time. Number two, cars have windows. So obviously, if I can see
not our cars are. Not our cars. Not all cars are built the same. Sir.
You said not all cars have windows?
No, I didn't say, no, that's a misrepresentation of what I just said. I said not all cars are built the same. Some windows are easier.
All cars have windows, correct?
Some windows are easier to see out of, some are not easy. Not all cars.
But all cars have windows, right?
Again, the burden of proof is on you, sir, to prove.
I think I'm proving my case quite well. I'm going to continue.
No, you have not.
Yeah,
you have
I'm
not.
Going to continue. I have proven that you lied on the show. I've proven that for sure. Okay, so you have you just pulled that statistic out of your ass. You have absolutely no data set to suggest that most police are unaware of the race of the person they are pulling over. You have nothing on the record to suggest that, and you made that proclamation on the show. Okay, I just gave you my sourcing. Now, here's what I'm going to submit to you again. Okay, in New York City, 88% of police stops were of black people. Black people don't make up 88% of the population. And there's no justification for it on the other side because the vast majority of them had absolutely nothing illegal going on. These were unprovoked stops. These were pretextual stops that provided no additional criminality on the record, known, period. When you look at these disparities that are definitely connected to race, and you say, oh, it must be something else other than race. Well, what is the something else? Tell me what the something else is. No. With all of the stats I just gave you early in the show, what's the something else here?
So, sir, as the laws of logic dictate, it is not up for the person who is analyzing the claim to provide the terms for the claim. It's up for the claimant. And you have told me, you have simply cited data to me and said, okay, there are black people in this disparity, therefore it must be racist.
Okay,
when
so
you have not necessarily proven.
I'm asking you, sir.
No, that's not how the burden of proof works.
Okay,
that's not how the burden of proof works.
This is real simple. You're playing games. This is real simple.
No,
I'm trying to make a difference. You're trying to make a point. If you have 20%, think about this.
I'm trying to find the truth.
Hold on, brother. If you have 20% of black men being sentenced to more time than their white counterparts for the same crime with the same background, 20% more are getting sentenced to a higher or more time than their white counterparts with the exact same crime, exact same background. You tell me what the disparity is. What is it? Is it race or not? If it's not race, then what is it? Just tell me. What do you think it is?
Sir, you're claiming that disparity right there is due to racism, right? And if so,
what else it is? What else could it be? Tell me.
You're claiming that it's due to racism, and it's not. It is, as the person who's trying to analyze your claim, it is my duty to ask you, okay, can you prove that it's due to racism? But in that particular instance,
here's how data is analyzed. Wait a minute, hold on, Christian.
In that particular instance,
Christian, here's how data is analyzed.
I'm trying to answer.
You understand, brother? You're going to get time to respond. Data is analyzed in this manner. You look for patterns. You look for normative and subnormative directive behavior. This is how you actually analyze data. Causation, cause and effect relationship. We connect the dots as scholars, right? That's why we study and we are called social scientists. When you tell me that you cannot provide an alternative conclusion to the data that I have just submitted to you to explain the disparity, you have proven my point that more likely than not, my social scientist conclusion is true. You have zero contrast or contrary information to offer, none.
That's not true.
Okay, so what is it about? Why almost 20%?
For the course of this conversation,
go ahead.
For the course of this conversation, sir, I've been trying to do, first of all, there's a distinction that needs to be made. There is the data then there's the argument that you use for the data. The data itself is not necessarily an argument. I guess there could be arguments inside, like the composition of the data, but itself is not an argument. It is a measurement. It is an empirical observation. Then people make assumptions from that empirical observation and in a form called the argument. Now, in argumentation, when you use a piece of evidence like data to make an assumption, you have to prove your contention. So if your contention is that this data reflects that there is intentional racism going on in the hearts and minds of the people who are a part of this data set, you have to prove that. And simply,
no, sir.
It does matter the intention.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, sir, you do not. Brother, you don't have to prove that in what's called grounded theory analysis. What you have to show, sir, I've done this for a long time, brother. In grounded theory analysis, you don't have to show the actual hyper-aggressive intent or hyper-aggression intent, because the intent can be implicit. The intent can be subconscious. That's why we have the data to show here are your subconscious realities and how they are expressing themselves upon the social construct of America. Now, remember, brother, let me ask you this. Remember, can you disprove that it's related to race?
Okay, I can cite again. I can talk about it in like the issue of criminal justice reform and redlining because I came prepared to talk about that.
But
that's not.
With you
Here's my
is not related to race. Can you disprove?
You're the person making the claim, sir. In logic, the person making the claim. The person making the claim has to prove their claim. Now now hold on. So you mentioned redlining.
Yeah.
According to the Brookings Institute, about 72% of people living in redlining communities right now are Hispanic and white, 28% are black. If you look at what happened redlining back a few decades ago, first of all, it's been banned 50 years, and there's been the Community Reinvestment Act, and there's been a federal agency which oversees the lending practices of different brokers to make sure
the concept of racism being unraveled through policy remedy. Go ahead.
But even when redlining was first implemented, they were not mostly implemented in just low like black areas. They were also implemented in majority white areas too, and they were actually the most impacted as well. So there are many different things we can talk about these issues with more nuance.
What's your point of that? We don't disagree with that.
No, my point is this. Just because my point is this: the racial disparities cannot necessarily explain the
racial disparities.
Status.
So you said it.
No, but that does not mean they're proved by racism, though. Racial disparity and racist intent are two different things. No,
all right,
they're two different things.
They don't happen because of racism. What do they happen because of?
Again, that's up to you. You're the one who claims that racism is there. Okay, I just told you it happened because of bad policy.
I appreciate you being on the show, brother. Always fun to have you. Eat your Wheaties next time. But thank you for being on the program. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, Galaxy Brain is next. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.